everyone, welcome back.
It's great to be back.
Today we're diving into something I think we all struggle with sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
Laziness? Like, why do we get stuck in those ruts and...
And how do we get out of them?
Exactly.
Yeah. Ooh, fun. Which one?
It's called Stop Being Lazy, You're Wasting a Lot of Time. You got it. And they've got some really practical tips, all backed by research.
That's always a good sign.
Yeah, definitely. I think this deep dive will especially resonate if you've ever felt like you're procrastinating.
Or just stuck in a rut. Happens to the best of us.
For sure. So let's start by tackling the why.
Yeah, good place to begin. Why do we feel lazy?
Well, Leo and Gwen highlight a couple of common reasons.
Okay, I'm listening.
One is that feeling of zero motivation, like you just can't muster the energy to do anything.
Yeah, been there.
And the other is feeling overwhelmed. The task just seems gigantic.
Like, where do you even start?
Right. And that's where some research from Stanford University comes in.
Oh, this should be good.
They found that when a task seems too big,
Too massive.
yeah, people tend to avoid it completely.
Oh, that makes so much sense. It's like looking at Mount Everest, you know? You're like, I can't climb that.
Such a good analogy. So how do we conquer that mountain of a task?
Well, you got to break it down.
Break it down
Yeah.
into smaller pieces?
Exactly. Leo and Gwen actually use this metaphor of eating an elephant.
How do you eat an elephant?
One bite at a time.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about making those big tasks feel manageable.
Okay, so instead of aiming to, I don't know, clean the entire house,
Which is super overwhelming.
you focus on just cleaning the kitchen.
Now that feels doable.
And they apply this to learning English, too, which can feel like, oh my gosh, such a huge undertaking.
Learning a whole new language. Yeah. Intimidating.
So instead of trying to become fluent in 6 months, their advice is to focus on practicing speaking for, say, 10 minutes a day.
Much less intimidating.
Right. Okay, so that's for when the task feels too big. But what about when it's fear that's holding us back?
Oh, yeah. Fear of failure
Ugh, the word.
can really stop you in your tracks.
I know. I mean, think about it. How many times have you not even started something because you were afraid of messing up?
Oh, countless times, I'm sure. It's so relatable.
And there's actually research on this. The University of California found that
Well, let's hear it.
this fear of failure is a major reason why people don't even begin new projects.
That's wild.
It is, but Leo and Gwen offer a really encouraging perspective.
I'm all ears.
They say that mistakes,
Which we all make.
of course,
Yep.
are actually crucial to learning.
Okay, yeah, that's true. Like, you learn from your mistakes.
You do. Every time you stumble, you're getting closer to figuring things out.
It's all part of the process.
Exactly.
Oh.
So it's about reframing that fear of failure.
Into, like, a learning opportunity.
Yeah, seeing failure as feedback.
That's a much healthier way to look at it.
I think so too. So we've talked about motivation and fear. Now let's move on to routines.
Oh, routines. Love a good routine.
Me too. They can be a game changer.
How so?
Well, get this. A study from Duke University found that almost 40% of our daily actions,
40%? That's a lot.
it is, are actually driven by habit, not conscious decisions.
Whoa, so we're basically on autopilot for a good chunk of our day.
Pretty much. And that's where having good habits and routines comes in.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
They streamline our lives.
So you don't have to think about every little thing,
Yes. And you know what that means? Less decision fatigue.
which frees up mental energy for other things.
Exactly. Leo and Gren even talk about how having a consistent wake-up time,
Something so simple.
I know, right, can actually have a positive impact on your whole day.
It sets the tone, maybe.
I think so. And it's not just about waking up, right? Think about any area where you struggle with laziness.
Work, exercise, anything really.
Could a consistent routine help? Like maybe having a set time for working out or for tackling that big project?
It takes the guesswork out of it.
And it frees up mental space for the things that matter most.
I love that.
Okay, so routines, super helpful. But let's be honest, distractions are everywhere.
Especially in this digital age.
I know. Our phones, social media, those never-ending notifications.
It's a constant battle.
It is. And a study from Harvard found that
It's going to be good.
people spend an average of 3 hours a day on their phones.
3 hours. Wow, that's a lot of time.
It is. Imagine what you could accomplish if you reclaimed even a portion of that time.
So true.
Oh.
Okay, so how do we tame these digital distractions?
Well, Leo and Gwen's advice is to start small. Don't try to change everything overnight.
Small, manageable changes.
Exactly. Like maybe try putting your phone in another room while you're working.
To create a distraction-free zone.
Or try setting specific times for checking social media.
Oh, or turning off notifications.
All great ideas. Just little tweaks to regain control.
I like that.
And speaking of taking control, Leo and Gwen also talk about the just start mentality.
What's that?
The idea that sometimes the hardest part is simply taking that first step.
Oh, I totally get that. Once you get going, it's easier to keep going.
Exactly. And there's actually some psychology behind this. Even a tiny action can give you a sense of accomplishment.
That little boost of motivation.
And that motivates you to keep going.
Like a domino effect.
It is. So start small, feel good, do more.
Makes sense.
And don't forget the power of rewards.
Like a little treat after finishing a task.
Exactly. That can make a big difference in staying motivated.
I'm all about those little rewards.
Okay, so we've got to just start and reward ourselves along the way. But then there's this idea of productive procrastination.
Wait, how can procrastination be productive?
Right. That's what I thought. But research from the University of Sheffield suggests that sometimes
Sometimes what?
stepping away from your main task and doing something else, something that's still useful,
Okay.
can actually help you refocus when you come back.
So it's not about just zoning out and watching TV.
Not exactly. It's more about strategically shifting your focus.
Yeah, I can see that working.
Like sometimes you just need a little distance from a challenging task,
To clear your head.
and then you can return with fresh eyes.
Interesting. So it's about finding that balance.
Right. And then Leo and Gwen talk about the 2-minute rule, which is this simple but powerful way to beat procrastination.
I'm intrigued. What is it?
The idea is to commit to starting a task that's so small and easy that it takes less than 2 minutes.
2 minutes, that's it.
Like if your goal is to exercise, just focus on putting on your workout shoes.
Oh, so it's about lowering the barrier to entry.
Exactly. And the cool thing is, by starting small, you're basically tricking your brain into releasing dopamine.
The feel-good chemical.
And that tiny sense of achievement can be enough to keep you going.
Clever.
Right, it's like hacking your own motivation.
I love it.
But you know, sometimes, even with all these strategies, our laziness has a deeper root.
What do you mean?
Well, sometimes it's not about motivation or distractions, but a lack of purpose.
Oh, I see. Like if you don't feel connected to what you're doing, it's harder to get excited about it.
Exactly. So finding that why behind your actions can be incredibly motivating.
That makes a lot of sense. Oh, and Leo and Gwen share this fun fact. Albert Einstein was actually considered lazy as a child. No way.
Really?
It just goes to show you never know what someone is capable of, even if they seem a bit sluggish on the surface.
That's an inspiring thought.
So we've covered a lot of ground here, but there's still so much more to explore.
Stay tuned as we continue to delve into this topic of conquering laziness.
I'm excited for more.
Me too. Welcome back, everyone. So we've explored some of the reasons behind laziness.
Yeah, the psychology of it all.
Now I'm curious to dig into some practical strategies.
Oh, yeah, like how to actually do something about it.
Exactly. So did Leo and Gwen offer any techniques that our listeners can use?
Oh, absolutely. They talked a lot about time management.
Okay, time management. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's not just about, like, having enough hours in the day,
Right.
but about actually feeling in control of your time.
I can see that. If you feel overwhelmed by a million things to do.
It's easy to just shut down.
Yeah, and do nothing.
Right. So one of the things they suggest is,
Let me guess, prioritizing.
you got it, figuring out which tasks are the VIPs, the ones that need to happen first.
It's like a ranking system for your to-do list.
Exactly. Leo actually shared a personal example. He said when he's feeling overwhelmed, he literally writes down everything he has to do.
And then,
And then he ranks those tasks by importance.
oh, that's smart. Just seeing it all laid out like that.
Can make it feel less overwhelming.
Totally. But even when you know what needs to be done, how do you actually, stay focused?
Oh, that's the million-dollar question.
The struggle is real.
It is. One simple thing they suggest is, and this may be surprising, but turning off all notifications.
You mean like on my phone?
Yeah, while you're working on a task.
Yeah.
So email, text messages, all of it.
Oh, man. Notifications can be so distracting.
They can totally derail you, right?
Yes.
Like 1 minute you're working and the next you're scrolling through social media.
It happens to the best of us.
They also mentioned something called the Pomodoro technique.
Oh, I've heard of that.
It's pretty popular. It's
Yeah.
all about breaking down work into intervals,
Intervals
like 25 minutes usually, and then taking a short break.
okay, so short bursts of focus, then a little break.
Exactly. And they say it's really good for people who,
Have trouble focusing for long periods of time.
totally. Those breaks also help prevent burnout.
Good point. So we've got time management, prioritizing, and focusing. What else?
Well, this might sound obvious, but They really stress the importance of,
Taking action?
yes,
Yeah.
like actually doing the thing, not just planning it.
Oh, I totally get that. It's easy to get stuck in the planning phase.
Right. And then you never actually start.
It's like analysis paralysis.
Exactly. So their advice is simple. Just do it. Just take that first step, even if it's tiny.
Love that. It goes back to that just start mentality.
Yeah. And they also recommend breaking down those big goals into smaller, more manageable steps.
So you can actually see yourself making progress.
And that can be really motivating. Right.
For sure. It's about those small wins, acknowledging how far you've come.
Totally.
Yeah.
But, let's be honest, we all have those moments.
Where we fall back into our lazy habits.
It happens to all of us. Did they talk about how to deal with those setbacks?
They did, and their advice was actually really reassuring.
Oh, I like reassuring advice.
Me too. Basically, they said, be kind to yourself.
So no beating yourself up.
Exactly. Don't get caught in a cycle of negative self-talk.
Much easier said than done sometimes, though.
True. But self-compassion is so important. It's much more productive to,
Approach those setbacks with understanding.
yeah, and see them as opportunities to learn.
Good point.
Yeah.
And I also pointed out that progress, it's not always linear,
So there are going to be ups and downs.
Right. So don't get discouraged by those daily fluctuations.
Focus on the big picture.
Exactly. But what about those times when you're feeling really stuck? Like,
You've tried all the strategies and nothing seems to work.
that's a tough spot to be in.
It is. Did they have any advice for that?
They did. They actually emphasized the importance of seeking support from others.
Oh, talking to someone about it?
Yeah, sometimes we just need to, vent,
Yeah.
or get a fresh perspective.
You don't have to do this alone.
Exactly. And they also talk about the power of,
Inspiration.
yes. They shared a really cool anecdote about Thomas Edison.
Oh, the light bulb guy.
Right. Apparently, he failed over 1,000 times before he finally invented the light bulb.
1,000 times.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. But as he famously said,
What'd he say?
I have not failed.
Yeah.
I've just found 1,000 ways it won't work.
Whoa. That's a powerful way to look at it.
Right. It's about seeing failure not as an ending, but as a stepping stone.
It's all part of the process.
Totally. And I think that's a great message for all of us,
Even when we're feeling lazy or discouraged.
Just remember that progress is still progress.
Even if it's slow or it takes a while.
Absolutely. And speaking of progress, did you know that people who plan their day in advance are, 30% more likely to actually get things done?
Oh, really? That's interesting.
So let's all make a pact to plan our days, take those small steps, celebrate our wins, and never give up.
I'm in. I'm sure our listeners are feeling inspired too. But we've got one more part of our deep dive left.
Oh yeah, I almost forgot. There's more.
Can't wait to see what other insights Leo and Gwen have in store for us. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to our deep dive on conquering laziness.
I'm ready for the final round of insights.
Me too.
Yeah.
So what did Leo and Gwen leave us with?
Well, they talked about a few key phrases that really captured the essence of...
Of beating procrastination.
Exactly. One that really stood out was time management.
Oh yeah, we talked about that.
It's so important, right? It's about being intentional with your time.
Not letting the day just happen to you.
Right. And they have this great example using a planner.
Oh, I love planners. Yeah, it doesn't even matter if it's like a physical one or an app on your phone.
As long as it works for you.
Exactly. The key is just having that system,
To schedule your tasks, your appointments.
So you can visualize your day, prioritize.
Okay, I'm sold. What were some of the other phrases they focused on?
Another big one was prioritize tasks.
I feel like we've touched on that.
We have, but it's so important. Not all tasks are created equal.
Some need to happen ASAP, others can wait.
Exactly. And you have to decide which is which.
Be the boss of your to-do list.
Yes. Leo actually said that he always prioritizes his homework before playing games.
Oh, that's a good one, especially for students.
Right. It's about putting those important things first.
Makes sense. What else did they say?
Well, they talked about the importance of focus.
Which seems obvious,
But it's hard,
yeah,
especially with all the distractions these days.
so true. So how do we get better at focusing?
Well, they said one of the best things you can do.
Is turn off all notifications.
Yes. While you're working, create that distraction-free zone.
Oh, that makes a big difference, I've noticed.
It really does. Okay. And then they stressed taking action.
Okay, just do it.
Exactly. It's easy to get stuck in the planning phase, but you got to move to the doing phase.
Otherwise, nothing gets done.
Right. And sometimes taking action just means starting small,
Like with that 2-minute rule.
Yes. Just take that first step, however small.
Love it. Any other words of wisdom from Leo and Gwen?
Oh, they also talked about step-by-step progress.
Breaking down those big goals.
Exactly. It makes them feel less overwhelming.
And you can actually see yourself moving forward.
Right. Which is motivating.
It's all about those small wins along the way.
Celebrate them.
Well, I think this has been such a fantastic deep dive.
Yeah, we've covered a lot.
From the psychology of laziness.
To practical strategies for overcoming it.
Leo and Gwen really delivered.
They did.
So, to everyone listening, I hope you feel inspired and empowered to,
To tackle those lazy moments.
Exactly. And remember, we all experience laziness.
It's normal.
The key is recognizing it and then,
Using these strategies.
to get back on track.
And remember, progress isn't always a straight line.
It's okay to have those ups and downs.
As long as you keep moving forward.
Exactly. So, as we wrap up,
One last thought.
what is it?
Think about one thing you're passionate about but haven't made time for lately.
Ooh, good question. Maybe that's where you can start,
To reignite that motivation.
I love that. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into conquering laziness. Remember,
Every small step counts.
until next time, keep diving.